Hey, Mr. Mayor, we are live and ready.
All right, sounds good. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. This is a special meeting of the Seldovia City Council, Wednesday, May 29th, 2024. Time is 6:08 p.m. And we'll go ahead and do roll call. Peyton,
Here.
Keithley,
Here.
Langbart,
Here.
Rojas,
Here.
Kennedy,
Here.
and Swick.
Here.
Okay, we have everyone in attendance tonight. And Heidi or Liz, if you'll go ahead and lead us off in the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. Let's see, item C, excused absences. We have none. Everyone is in attendance. Item D, agenda approval. Go ahead and look for a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve tonight's agenda by Rojas with a second by Keithley. Any further discussion on the agenda before we vote? Okay, hearing none, we'll go ahead and vote on the approval of tonight's agenda. All those in favor, Peyton,
Aye.
Keithley,
Aye.
Langbart,
Aye.
Rojas,
Aye.
Kennedy,
Aye.
and Swick.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes with a vote of 6 in the affirmative. Item E, consent agenda. All items under the consent agenda are approved with a single motion, no discussion, and one vote. Council member may request to remove an item for discussion and a separate vote. Items removed from the consent agenda will be placed under new business. We have one item tonight on the consent agenda, and that is the approval of the minutes of the regular meeting for May 13th, 2024. Does any member wish to remove any item at this time? Okay, hearing none, we will go ahead and I'll look for a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda.
Motion to approve tonight's consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda by Langbart with a second by Rojas. Any further discussion on the consent agenda before we vote? Okay, hearing none, we'll go ahead and vote on the approval of tonight's consent agenda. All those in favor, Peyton,
Aye. Sorry.
no, you're good. Keithley,
Aye.
Langbart,
Aye.
Rojas,
Aye.
Kennedy,
Aye.
and Swick.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes with 6 in the affirmative, and that was the approval of tonight's consent agenda. Mayoral proclamations, we have none. Item G, public presentation prior notice. I see we have none. Is that still the case, Liz?
That's correct, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, item H, public presentation for items not on the agenda. Do we have anyone signed up to speak on that tonight?
No, we do not.
Okay. Item I, committee and advisory board reports. I see we have none. And is that also still the case?
That's still the case, sir.
Okay. And item J, administrative reports. Item J1, public works maintenance report. And that is the quarterly report.
And we do have operator Cameron online.
Okay, great. Hey, Jordan, can you hear us?
Yes,
All right, sounds good. Welcome.
thank you. I do not have a copy of my report in front of me, but I'm sure I can sum it up in that we are past the spring mob up and kind of moving full steam into the summer operations. We did hire Amanda Miller, and she is a full-time maintenance employee in the Public Works Department, and she is in full training mode for everything, and lots of stuff to absorb. She's got a good mind for absorbing all that kind of great information. A lot of water turn-ons, learning all the ins and outs of dealing with the water turn-ons, and we've launched a few boats. She had led the project of replacing the majority of the hydraulic hoses on the trailer, sling trailer, not the old blue trailer. And that went pretty well. So we were able to launch boats without worrying about dropping them on the ground. And yeah, we got a little bit of road grading going on. We haven't had much operator training in the road grader because we have kind of a lot of other bits and pieces going around that we got to focus on. And so road grading kind of goes hand in hand with the weather. So that's usually if I got 4 hours to grade the roads, I kind of go out and bust it out myself. But we'll see if we can get some operator training in the grader for Amanda, maybe, or not. We'll have somebody run the grader around this summer when I'm gone fishing. The lift station program is just kind of in a holding. It pumps good. It's we're waiting for a contract, bid to be secured and all that business. We have collected some of the hard parts, the complicated castings that are needed for down in the hole. Those showed up on this ferry before last, and that'll be good because the other parts are kind of generic, and we'll be able to get those coming whenever the contractor gets situated for that repair at the septic lift station. Johnny Gruber was hired as temporary for the harbor water mob up, and he replaced a large section of line down there with HDPE instead of the PEX material, and they installed little hose bib hydrants for the stalls, which people like, so they don't have to install their own. And hopefully that keeps going as budget allows. And materials, of course, they have to procure materials as time goes along to finish it. We have also, the harbor has also had another temp employee hired, Stan Coleman, and he's kind of taking care of some of those long overdue repair projects for the harbor that have needed to have been done, and he's a great asset. He's able to be able to self regulate and take care of those things. They're kind of time consuming and complicated, so he's a good man for that job. And that's about it. We've put away all the snow equipment for the most part. And the I was trying to think if there was anything else that was exciting, but there really wasn't a lot. The water plant is past the spring breakup part, so flow is up with more people and harbor usage, but it's still at a reasonable rate, so that's kind of good. We had a massive blowout on Dock Street. I don't think that was in April, I think. And the main had frozen at some point and burst a piece of 6-inch ductile iron heavy wall material. And Amanda and I were able to replace that. That was in Amanda's first couple days of employment. And we excavated the street and replaced the 80 some inches, no, 110 inches of line with an 80 some inch long crack in it, longitudinal crack. And then and got that going again. And that helped out the two services would be the Seldovia Fuel and Lube and the city office and the dock, of course. So that's three. But very little interruption in service and very little water loss. The only problem to that job was that it was a pretty large disruption in the asphalt on that street, and so we have a large cut there that it's gonna cost us a lot of money to repair. So we'll just have to budget for that and get our blacktop patched back up again whenever that is. Any questions?
Hey, Jordan, real quick on that Dock Street water main. Now, any idea why that froze? I mean, if it was being used at the fuel and lube, or, I mean, I know there's been multiple freeze points along there over the years, but any contributing factors that come to mind or that you know of?
It's pretty shallow. It's, I think the full buried depth is only 5 feet, and we keep that area pretty clean. And the lines there have frozen before. The fire hydrant that was in that same vicinity had frozen and broke multiple places, and there's just not enough flow at the office to keep that main going. And we did when we replaced the line there, we took all the blue board we had and insulated the line in that particular area, so that spot won't freeze hopefully in the future. And it would have been nice to since we had that line open, we could have gone down in the line and maybe tried to find where the office is connected and all that stuff, because we don't really know where that is, and that would have been a great asset to have as a known location of that office connection. And we could have maybe have done something more to help keep that line thawed out, but we were under pressure to just get it fixed. And it was pretty impressive, though. We couldn't really look down the line anyways because it was still full of ice. And it's just incredible. It was hard, clear blue ice. And so that just unbelievable amount of pressure. And that ductile iron wasn't the standard weight. It was the extra heavy weight. So it was like 1/8 of an inch thicker.
Oh, impressive. All right, well, cool. Yeah, hopefully with you at a blue board, we won't have any more failures there for quite some time, if ever. Would be nice. So, all right, anyone else got any other questions, comments for Jordan?
Well, Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Yeah, go ahead, Vivian.
Yeah, no, I just want to thank Jordan for all of his time and effort. And I think Amanda is a great employee that we've got on our team. And thank you for working with her and making her life a little bit easier breaking into this job. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Vivian. All right, thanks, Jordan. Appreciate the update.
You're welcome. Have a good evening.
All right, you too. All right. Let's see, that was item J1, administrative reports. Item K, public hearings. Item K1. Item K1, ordinance 24-08A, a non-code ordinance to the city of Seldovia, Alaska, accepting FY 2025 fee schedule, Appendix A of the fiscal year 2025 budget, Section 4, rates, fees, charges established. And Heidi, I'll go ahead and let you take care of this or speak to this. And this was introduced on 5/13/2024.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. You guys have seen this a few times by now. Not a lot. Well, nothing's changed since the last time. Actually, I don't think anything's changed since the last two times, but certainly not since the last time. Just has some language changes from stall rental to moorage. The fee schedule, I should say, starts on page 11. Just some general language changes and updates, and then
Can't hear you, Heidi.
We lost you again.
oh,
Yep.
how about now?
Yep,
Am I
yeah,
back?
got you. Yeah, it just like literally went dead.
Oh, well, I don't know how much of that you heard, but you've seen this fee schedule before. It just has some general updates to language as well as a 1.7% CPI increase for most of the user rates. That includes harbor and water and sewer. For harbor, that did not increase the daily rate, but it did for the monthly, 6-month, and annual. Credit card fees was removed. And overall, really just kind of a cleanup job. I don't think there's anything else really significant. Garbage stays the same. Rentals stay the same. Facility use fees and RV and camp fees stay the same. Other fees, we did include the background check and fingerprinting and serving papers in back into the fee schedule. It was in there previously when we had a Seldovia Police Department. And then after partnering with APIA and bringing in village public safety officers, we took out the fees for those couple of items during the FY24 fee schedule. And in working with them, that's still something that they will do for the city and that we can bill out for. So we put it back in. And I think that really is the gist of it. So please let me know if you have any questions.
All right, thank you, Heidi. Appreciate that. All right, we'll go ahead and send it over to council for discussion. I'll open it up for any questions, comments for the manager.
Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Yep, go ahead, Vivian.
Yeah, we've seen this and I think we've worked it through and it is ready to be approved and move forward. I'm in favor of ordinance 24-08A. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, thank you, Vivian. Anyone else? Okay, I'll make a comment. I'm also in agreement with Council Member Rojas. Yep, we've gone through this and yeah, it's nice to see that we're in a position where we have not had to substantially increase any fees or with very little increases. And this year primarily it's the CPI with the 1.7. So that's generally good news. So yep, I'm in support of the fee schedule as it's written. Anyone else before we go to public? Okay, hearing none. Liz, do we have anyone in the public that signed up to comment or anyone in the room that wishes to comment?
No, Mr. Mayor, we do not have either.
All right, we'll go ahead and bring item K1, ordinance 24-08 back to council for final action.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion that we adopt ordinance 24-08A.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion to adopt ordinance 24-08A by Rojas with a second by Kennedy. Any further discussion on the ordinance before we vote? Okay, hearing none, we'll go ahead and vote on the approval of ordinance 24-08A tonight. And we'll go ahead and take the vote. All those in favor, Peyton?
Aye.
Keithley?
Aye.
Langvart?
Aye.
Rojas?
Aye.
Kennedy?
Aye.
And Swick?
Aye.
Okay, motion is approved, and that with a vote of 6 in the affirmative, and that is the approval of ordinance 24-08A, which was our fee schedule for FY25. Thank you, everyone. Item K2, ordinance 24-08B, a non-code ordinance of the city of Seldovia, Alaska, appropriating funds, Appendix B, annual budget for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2025, and amending appropriations for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2024. This was also introduced on 5/13/24, and I'll let the city manager present.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. As the title suggests, this does not only adopt and appropriate funds for the FY25 budget, but it is going to amend the FY24 budget. Mainly, that amendment is due to the fact that we needed to amend the dock fund due to additional ferry stops. So for both revenue and expenses, that fund was amended, as well as we went ahead and implemented a reallocation of the audit, which is a huge expense for the city. It's about $65,000 annually. Previously for FY24, it was allocated out evenly, split across the special revenue funds and the general fund. With this new allocation method, it takes into account fund size. A couple of our funds are major funds, Water and Harbor Master, and they have a little bit of a bigger chunk along with our general fund, which will always be a major fund. And then some of our other funds, particularly dock, sewer. Well, sewer is not a non-major fund, but it's a smaller fund, but dock and BHO are non-major funds. So now they, due to their fund size, their anticipated revenues, they have a smaller allocation, which will help them out through the end of the year. And then there was a few just smaller adjustments in that FY24 budget. For FY25, there is a manager's message on page 36 of the packet that just talks about some of the budget overview and trends for FY25. I am pleased to present a balanced budget that includes consideration of smaller projects and improvements as revenue allows, to address deferred infrastructure maintenance needs and planning for future capital improvement program priorities as outlined in the City of Seldovia 2024 and 2029 capital improvement program. Some of the significant changes are a 1.7% COLA increase for employees, as well as 1.7% CPI for anticipated expenses generally across the board. Additionally, the City Council was in support of removing the $55,000 that was placed in other for FY24 and putting it in a reserved fund, which will be actual funds that will move into its own account in the AMLIP. And those that will be in an amount of $50,000, and it'll be assigned as police public safety reserve fund instead. So that will sit there. It's still a part of the general fund, as our auditors stated, and I believe I included in this message, or at least we have in discussion, and it is mentioned under the general fund itself that even though the general fund is now in the black and out of a deficit, we do have an excess of assigned funds. And in order to have a healthy fund balance, if you look at that page, let me just pull it up on the general fund there. It'll give you a good example of what that looks like. And that is, sorry, it takes a minute to move through this packet because it's a little big. Page 54. So you'll see the net effect at the bottom, and then carrying over onto page 55, the estimated ending fund balance for FY25 is $176,231. However, for assigned funds, we have about $530,000, $530,006 for a difference of $353,775. Hopefully, this is a difference that will decrease annually. And it looks like we did see that from potentially FY23, which is the audited actuals to FY24. So when we have that done, it'll give us a better idea on how we're trending there. And of course, there's a little bit of an increase for FY25 because of that 50,000. So even though we're in a deficit, or sorry, even though we're in the black, these are all payable to the general fund, and the general fund doesn't quite cover it yet, but we will continue to work on making those gains and making that account healthy. I know that that's one of the council's primary priorities. Other than that, health insurance was a 10% increase. The general liability insurance is a 22% increase with a $25,000 deductible. The audit expenses are included in there, and as I said, they have been reallocated due with the goal of fund size for their allocation targets. Sorry, I got tongue-tied there for a second. And property tax, mill rate, levy wasn't increased. Sales tax, we're actually anticipating for property tax a 2% decrease per preliminary funding figures from the borough, and we'll keep an eye on that. Sales tax, we're anticipating hopefully will remain steady. We had a little bit of a decrease this year compared to last year. Last year, we know was just a banner year. So we continue to put in efforts to help support businesses and events throughout the community. Special revenue funds remain fairly steady, especially with that audit reallocation. Doc is anticipated at 85 AMHS stops, and 5,000 was budgeted from the MMRF for the dock slab repair capital project. We were hoping to have that done in FY24. I don't think that's going to happen, so that'll just stay in the ending fund balance, and then we'll use, or so not in the ending fund balance, it'll stay in the MMRF because we didn't use it this year, and then when we do use it, hopefully next year, that'll come back out. For our reserves and capital projects, those are located on page 73. And I would like to draw attention that we did implement a little bit of a different format for our capital projects, just trying to incorporate the CIP, the capital improvement projects that are in the current plan, showing where they would fit in on the capital budget. Currently, most of them are unfunded, but hopefully this is a good direction that as we move forward in the future, we can start moving some of those projects up into the budget itself. You will see, so 73 are the anticipated ending of those accounts for those various reserves and the special permanent fund, and then 103 of the packet, 103 of the packet, 74 of the budget is the FY25 City of Seldovia Capital Project and Reserve Funds. There are 6 reserve funds being used by the city now. That's the Public Works Improvements Capital Project Fund. That's the 2% sales tax provided by ballot proposition 2101, Major Maintenance and Repair Fund, Replacement Vehicle Fund, Trails Improvement Fund for Susan Lake, Fuel Retail Facility CIP. We did put 20% of the monthly revenue from the tenant lease for future facility improvements in the budget through this section, and through the general fund. So general fund and right directly into the capital project or capital budget. And then now the police and public safety reserve fund, which will transfer 50,000 into upon approval of the budget. So you'll see capital project budget starts with it's with the Seldovia permanent fund, which is in the APCM, and those are assigned committed funds. Harbor Improvement Capital Project Fund shows Jackloff. That's the deferred maintenance fund that we have committed towards the Jackloff Bay Dock replacement project through Resolution 2403. Under Public Works Improvements, there are lost track right there. Public Works Improvements Capital Project Fund for Public Works. There are some funds, that's the 2%. And then you'll see the amount remaining on the road grader lease below that. And those are committed through Resolution 2312. So we're anticipating the 83, or we have 83,824 at the beginning of FY25. And we anticipate through the reserves another, I think I put it in there at 30,000, between 25 and 30,000 at the end of FY25. And our amount remaining at this time is 177,311. However, that'll go down once we make our payment in December of 51,000 and some change. And you'll see some of the other projects listed below that are unfunded that would potentially be public works improvements through that capital project, being the Seldovia Safe Roads program, which we're hoping we're going to see some funding from the legislator through, heavy equipment complex, multipurpose building improvements, value added building, industrial or small business complex, harbor parking lot improvements projects, et cetera. And those come right out of the CIP. And then next you have your major maintenance and repair fund. Those are split across general fund and then the special revenue funds, as well as we have this unassigned portion that right now is just a lot of it or some of it is our interest that hasn't been assigned back out to the other funds. And then it's the portion that hasn't been allocated back out. But we can work on that with the council over the next year or two, and as projects come, because as you can see, we have the dock slab repair project here, the dam periodic inspection, and new sensors for the water treatment plant that would be assigned as of the passage of this budget. And then you'll have underneath your capital improvement projects that are unfunded through the CIP. Then you have your replacement vehicle fund, which is sitting with $6,531. Again, capital improvement projects unfunded are the backhoe, skid steer, and vacuum truck. And then the Trails Improvement Fund, or Susan Lake, still has $1,440. No projects at this time. Future projects not related. I shouldn't say that. Future projects included in the CIP are improved access to Lake Susan Pavilion project. We're estimating $30,000. Seldovia Wilderness RV Park and Outside Beach Campground improvements project, and we don't have a projected total cost for that at this point. The other thing that we did that's new this year is under existing fleet and equipment inventory. We did add a column for expected life of vehicles. It doesn't have the information in it yet, but that is our goal for FY26. Can you believe I just said that? To have more information included on these vehicles themselves. And then everything else, infrastructure wise, remains fairly steady. And that, I think, about covers the budget.
All right. Thank you, Heidi. Yep. Obviously, lots of work went into this over a number of meetings. And I know you guys had a big, heavy lift on this. So appreciate you, you guys getting this knocked out. And yeah, it looks like things are improving along the way here. So that's all good news here. We're making some positive headway. So good to see that. We're going to open it up to council for any comments, questions for the city manager regarding the budget.
Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Yep. Go ahead, Vivian.
Yeah, it is great to see this budget that we've produced and great work from the city office. I'm just really pleased about where we are in our fiscal year and our projection for the next year. So I am definitely in favor of ordinance 24-08B. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, thank you, Vivian. Anyone else? Comments, questions on ordinance 24-08, the FY25 budget? Okay, hearing none, we'll go ahead and go to the public. Liz, not sure if anyone else from the public has signed up or in the building to comment on ordinance 24-08B.
No, Mr. Mayor, we don't have anybody previously signed up online and we have no one in the room.
Okay, we'll go ahead and go back to council for final action disposition on ordinance 24-08B.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion that we adopt ordinance 24-08B.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Rojas to approve ordinance 24-08B with a second by Langbart. Any further discussion on that before we vote? Okay, hearing none, we'll go ahead and vote on the approval of ordinance 24-08B. All those in favor, Peyton,
Aye.
Keithley,
Aye.
Langbart,
Aye.
Rojas,
Aye.
Kennedy,
Aye.
and Swick.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes with six in the affirmative, and that is the approval of ordinance 24-08B, which is our FY 2025 budget. Thank you, everyone, for the passing of that. We can now fund government and services for one more year. Item L, unfinished business. We have none. Item M1, new business, resolution 24-37, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Seldovia, Alaska, awarding a professional service contract to Tailored Tax and Accounting LLC for 2024 audit prep and training support, and authorizing the city manager to negotiate and execute the appropriate documents. And we'll go ahead and turn it over to the city manager to present.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As we heard during the audit report from our city auditors last month, the suggestion was that we hire or look into continuing to hire outside support for a full audit prep. We have had support the last several years. I think staff thought we were doing a full audit prep, but in speaking with these firms, they were helping us with some of the kind of the key things that we knew we needed to address. This will be a little bit more intense or a little bit more extensive help, I should say, with a firm that we can speak with daily or regularly as we need, meet with quarterly for reports as they're being entered and journal entries made, and then doing the initial legwork and review to make sure we're prepared for the audit. There is budget in the FY25 budget now allocated for this, and we're not quite sure yet until we see how it turns out, that hopefully with a little bit more of a cost for the audit prep, the audit itself will decrease in time, but we'll have to see how that shakes out in the end. We met with several great firms and received 4 excellent proposals. And in reviewing them between myself and Finance Officer Yeager, we recommend that the professional services contract be awarded to Tailored Tax and Accounting LLC, as the firm determined to have submitted the most responsive proposal. The 3 components we were looking for was the full audit preparation, support with implementation of GASB 87, and training in order to be able to take on some of these tasks more ourselves in future years. All of them really had to say that potentially with the FY24 ending next month, that we might still see a repeat of the findings that we had for the previous 2 audits this coming year, and that the training might not be as hands-on as they just try to work us through the FY24 audit prep, and so that we're ready for that audit, and then having them on board. We'll keep working with them potentially. That's the goal for FY25, and making it just so it's smoother moving forward. So I would make one more note, that the fiscal note here and a part of that proposal from Tailored Tax and Accounting LLC is that it's not to exceed 26,000. So if it gets to that point, we'll have some further discussions. But right now, that's the recommendation.
Okay, thank you, Heidi. Appreciate that. We'll go ahead and open it up to council for any questions, comments regarding resolution 24-37. All right, I'll just
Mr. Mayor.
go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah, I was just gonna say, getting this additional support, professional services, will hopefully get us to a point where our audits are running smoother and that we don't have issues, and perhaps in the long term, we're hoping the cost will go down. Is that the overall wish that we all have?
I
And that would
believe
go to the city
so.
manager.
Through the mayor, yes, that is the goal. And the goal is for us to be able to take more of it on ourselves. However, after speaking with these firms and the firms that we've worked with in the past, and looking at references and people that they work with, this is not an uncommon thing. It seems like the majority of communities across the state actually work with an independent audit prepping firm to help them as they go through quarterlies and different general reporting and prepare for the audit. So, it's been suggested by every one of them that these costs would also go down as things get better and they know our firm or know our organization and we continue to build this partnership. But it does seem like this is something that is a real benefit to communities. So we'll see how it works.
Yeah, okay, yes, Mr. Mayor, I'm in favor of resolution 24-37, sorry. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you, Vivian. Yep, I too am, I'll be in favor of resolution 24-37. I think it's, given the past history and, and certainly not just our track record, but most smaller communities where our staff size is limited, it's not, I would say, yeah, it's not unrealistic to think that we're going to need a fair amount of cleanup as we get towards the end of the fiscal year and get on towards, the annual audit. So basically having an audit prep firm come in, help us get things cleaned up, and then work with our finance manager to continue to get a better understanding and learn easier and better ways to be more productive is I think in our best interest. So the way I look at it, yeah, it's all tied to the overall audit expense for the year. And certainly you hope that if one can offset the other, as things are better for the auditors to look at. Certainly it should be easier for them to get through if they're not having to stop to do a bunch of investigation and or cleanup. So yeah, and then ideally we end up with a favorable finding at the end of the audit. So definitely in support of resolution 24-37. Anyone else? Okay, hearing none, we'll go ahead and go on to anyone from the public. Liz, same thing. Anyone signed up to speak on resolution 24-37?
No, Mr. Mayor, we do not have anybody signed up nor anybody in the room.
Okay, sounds good. We'll go ahead and bring resolution 24-37 back to council for final action and disposition.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion that we adopt resolution 24-37.
Okay, do we have a second?
I second.
Okay, we have a motion from Rojas to approve resolution 24-37. And I believe that was Keith Lee that seconded the motion. Any further discussion on resolution 24-37 before we vote? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of resolution 24-37, Peyton,
Aye.
Keith Lee,
Aye.
Langbart,
Aye.
Rojas,
Aye.
Kennedy,
Aye.
and Swick.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes with 6 in the affirmative, and that was resolution 24-37 regarding audit prep. All right, thank you everyone for that. Item N, city manager's report, and that was sent out in the laydown.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So some exciting things. There's actually been some changes since this report was sent out today. I put at the top of the list, this was crazy. the Renewable Energy Village Energy Efficiency Program, which was something that we were looking at back in February, and we were hoping to get some applications and due to staff capacity, we didn't make it. As my calendar cleared with the budget, I mean, it's never clear, but as it became less intense now that the budget was on its final path to being approved, I looked back at my calendar and wanted to make sure to note when the next REVEEP program was going to become available so that we wouldn't miss it. And when I opened it up at noon yesterday, it said that it closed at 4 yesterday. There was a round 2 that we were not aware of that was announced, and after the round 1 closed in February. And speaking with Finance Officer Yeager, we had all the information because they're the same facility projects that we applied or that we requested funding through the congressional direct spending through Murkowski's office. So we buckled down, and in less than, I would say, about 2.5 hours, we submitted 3 projects for review. Applications, and I'm just actually hoping for feedback at this point, but they have potential and it's better than not submitting anything. Those projects being the fuel retail and distribution facility energy improvements project, that's for the roof, and then the new roof and siding on the dock building. The city office and maintenance facility energy improvements project, that's for a new backboard insulation, general doors around the building, windows. We have some old single pane windows still in the building, new thermostats and just upgrades. So they're all thermal envelope projects, right? That should increase our energy, or decrease our energy usage and increase our thermal as a whole for each building. And the last one being the multi-purpose building energy improvement from new siding, insulation and siding on this building, as well as the included, and I don't know if they'll allow it or not, the back stairs need replaced for structure integrity, some paint on the outside and paint on the inside, looking at the foundation for what work needs to be done there, as well as some plumbing and Seldovia space. So those are in notification, and I received an email back on each project that they were received. They, on their timeline, we're going to review projects this month and anticipate award notices on July 1. I'll let you know what we hear back. Jackloff Bay Dock replacement project. This is the one that's changed. We were going back and forth with MARAD and then back and forth with legal. And I actually signed the contract for Moffett and Nickel this afternoon and sent it over. So that is now underway, and we'll continue work on the project with them on board. We're excited to see some progress in that way. Additionally, as we were going back and forth with legal and speaking with our attorney, Joe Levesque, he let me know, and there should be a letter going out sometime this week, that he is actually joining the law firm Landon, Bennett and Bloomston. I don't think I said that right. So I apologize for that one. They specialize in real estate, business tax, plaintiff's cases, litigation, and Native American law. And the goal for him there was he wanted to still be able to bring his clients along, of course, who wanted to come along and have them be able to, for one, him not to be doing all the work to support the clients. He's a one-man firm. And 2, to have access to other specialists, legal specialists for different fields. And then I think eventually maybe retirement. But so this is a chance. We have worked with Landon, Bennett and Bloomston before, and they do work with our insurance company for property and general liability insurance. One of their attorneys is who worked with us for our personnel policy. And we've had decent experience working with them. So I'm waiting for more information on what the letter says and what rates are going to be and what that's going to look like. But this is also a chance, if the city and the council wants to look at other avenues or other firms, I'll keep you in touch when I get that official letter notice, what that'll mean. And you guys let me know what you're thinking, but we can definitely explore other options if wanted. Septic lift station improvement project. ADEC is working through the loan application They were almost done with it at the end of last week. Once it's complete, they'll be able to review the application and hopefully approve funding. Peninsula Contractors continues to hold on signing the contract and ordering parts. I know they're anxious to get started on it, so we're hoping that we can get this buttoned up quickly. KPB warning sirens update. A decibel test was performed by KPB and members of the city on May 1st. A plan is now in place with the engineering firm for the sirens to remake the files to improve volume and sound quality. And KPB OEM is still interested in pursuing funding for a second siren. So that's still a priority. I want to say Spring Project Week was a success. We had multiple projects and decent participation. All the projects were completed, including the oiling of the back of the Harbor Gateway Pavilion. As big thanks to Tim Dillon. He came in and completed that project himself. Jared Patterson helped with multiple projects, including trail maintenance and the harbor sheds. Painting of the harbor sheds also included Allison Ryan, Liz Diamond, and Layla Jant Peterson. Community Cleanup Day. It was supposed to start out at 1, but we put those bags out and people were taking off with bags. We had great participation. And I saw, a lot of people in different areas of the community. We had some moms and kids out there. It was really, really nice to see. In fact, I think we had a couple bags come back almost empty because we had pretty good coverage of the community as a whole. And our garbage crew, our refuse queue, was able to just swing on through and pick them all up. I didn't hear about any bags being left out, so that was really great. Audubon Trail and maintenance cleanup, or Audubon Trail maintenance and cleanup. While the Audubon Trail is not a city trail, it is on a public or a section line easement, and something that has had community support throughout the years. Cindy Mom approached the city and asked if we could include this project as part of Project Week. And we were happy to help facilitate that and put out notice for volunteers to help. Cindy Mom and Aaron McKittrick organized that project, and there were a decent group of volunteers for it as well. We did hold a pizza party at the end of the week in appreciation of the volunteers, which didn't have everybody, but it had a decent, I think I counted 18 people showed up for that. So that was really nice to be able to kind of give back a little bit. And I heard people already talking about next year. We're already thinking about next year. So if you guys think of any projects, if there's anything on your mind, definitely let us know and we'll keep a list so that when that time comes, we'll just do it all over again. Utility rate study, that was something a part of the budget work sessions that we talked about for moving forward. Rebecca Bryan is our local government specialist, and Liz Diamond, the city clerk, has been working with her to schedule a visit to complete that study. Her first availability is towards the end of June. Did you want to say something on that real quick?
Yeah, just an update on that. We have it tentatively scheduled for the week of July 22nd for her to come down now.
Okay. Perfect. So we'll get that going. That'll involve finance officer, potentially some of the council, and we'll do a deep dive into our rates for water and sewer. Harbor improvements, as Jordan mentioned, John Gruber has been providing support down there, and we also now have Stanley Coleman on. That worked because John Gruber had some time off, and then we had a project that needed a couple of people. And they were able to replace water lines on, I thought it was all the floats, but Layla just informed me that E still needs it. So, but that's still in the works. The new water bottle filling station was installed, and I said other improvements are in the works right now. Stanley Coleman is really getting the skiff all cleaned up and ready, tip-top shape to go back in the water, and then the harbor skiff, and then the new wake signs will go up. So we've had those since I think fall of last year, and we just haven't been able to install them. That's a big priority, especially as people just blaze past that dock. It can get really intense, especially for people fueling. So new wake signs out, and then they'll continue on with all the updates down there. Not all of them, but as many updates as they can do. But it's looking really good. Jackloff Uplands lease update. I know I mentioned it in the last city manager's report, that was a verbal report. So I just wanted to make sure it was in writing here that DNR is working with the leasee on additional 40 feet from the row as requested in the letter that was sent off to DNR a few months ago. And I haven't heard anything else other than that. And I'll check in with them here in the near future and see if there's any more updates on that. 2022 state and local cybersecurity grant program. We attended the the necessary work sessions online that we need, webinars online that we needed to attend as staff, and signed the grant agreement. And now we've signed the project agreement with Structured. We'll have a kickoff meeting mid-June. Once they get started on the work, it sounds like it only takes a couple of weeks. And then we should have a pretty good assessment for our cybersecurity. City newsletter. I can't remember if I mentioned that in the last verbal city manager's report, but we did get that out May 1st and have had a pretty awesome response from the public about it. My goal is to issue them bi-monthly for the summer and quarterly for the winter. So I'm hoping to have another one out at the end of June or beginning of July. The tsunami brochure, inundation zone mapping brochure, we've seen a draft and we're waiting for the final product. Upcoming potential city council work sessions. Wanted to ask if June 10th would work for the city council to hold a work session on the historic boardwalk and Fulmore Avenue motorized access. I know this has been on the back burner for a while. Otherwise, I'm not recommending July unless you guys really want to, but we could look at holding one in August, either standalone or prior to a meeting. And then for the June 24th work session, there's a presentation scheduled with APCM regarding the city's investment with Charles Schwab. Planning Commission, it's been confirmed that they're going to postpone their meeting for next week, either 1 or 2 weeks. City Clerk Diamond will be away. She received that scholarship for professional development training in Tacoma. So she'll be gone all of next week, as well as there's a commission member out next week. So looking at potentially, was it the 12th or the 19th? And topics, anticipated topics for discussion are the CB, ongoing conversation on the CB subcommittee recommendations, topographical impacts or permitting for excavation and fill with a permit closeout task list. As I know that was something that council was talking about, is what's the end, what's the enforcement for these types of permits, and comprehensive plan recommendations for an audit and work plan. As I mentioned, city clerk professional development next week, employment opportunities. We did post the SVFD administrative assistant position, formerly known as safety officer. And we're still looking for one additional ferry line handler and a public works operator, either 1 or 2. Camille has been hired on, Camille Turner, as a harbor assistant and ferry line handler. And she's been training this week. So we definitely want to welcome her aboard. And everything else is we've gone over it previously, but certainly let me know if you have any questions. And I updated the grant report on page 6. So we just kind of keep updating that as time goes with ongoing grant progress. Thank you.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, Heidi. Any questions, comments for the manager regarding the city manager's report? All right. Well, thank you, Heidi. Appreciate you putting that together. As always, lots of good informative information in there. Item O, informational items not requiring action. None. Item P, executive session. None. Item Q, council and mayor comments concerning items not on the agenda. Peyton.
None tonight, thank you.
Thank you. Keithley.
Just welcome to summer.
Langvard.
No comment.
Rojas.
Just thank you, everyone, for everything that you do for the community. Also, the town looks great, looking at the harbor And the new paint job looks fantastic. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Vivian. Kennedy.
We ever hear any more on the update of the sweeper?
Excellent question. I'll make a note to include that in the next report. I did reach back out to Tyler last week, now that the ferry is running, and he was going to reach out to the Homer shop and give us an update. So I'll continue to discuss that with him and let you know when we have something set.
Okay, thank you, Heidi, for that. Swick.
No comment.
All right. Yep. Thank you to the staff for putting on tonight's meeting and also helping us out with the workshop. And that was much appreciated there. Hopefully some good will come out of that. And congratulations, obviously, to the council and the staff for passing the FY25 budget. So that's always a big, heavy lift, and glad that's behind us so we can start focusing on some other stuff. Next regular meeting will be held on June 10th, 2024 at 6 p.m. And I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
Motion
I'll
to
make
adjourn.
Okay, we have a motion to adjourn and do we have a second?
Second.
All right, and we have a second. Any objection? All right, hearing none, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, good night, everyone.
Thanks for coming. All right, have a good night.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.